Bueno, sin más, don Pedro, eh, empezamos con su conferencia.
Muchísimas gracias. I'm not sure if I'm gonna use the microphone. Yes, maybe. Okay, for video recording. Okay, for sure. Dr. Luis Astorga, thank you very much. I remember pretty well your PhD seminary. I learned a lot. It was a pleasure to attend. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you for organizing this lecture. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much. I also wanted to start with the sentence that is very important for me, that there are some people who are irreplaceable. Irreplaceable. I was training this word with Cliff. Here in Mexico, I've met a lot of people that helped me a lot, beginning with Jesus and his family that was hosting me and delivering all the help that I needed. But according to research that I had, there are two people that make it possible. The first person is Elena Azola Carrillo, the person that it would be inappropriate to introduce her because she's so famous, she's so great that everybody knows her, and for me it was a huge pleasure to meet her. I remember my first interview with Elena, then the chemistry started probably, and we started to collaborate. And the next person is Rodrigo. Rodrigo is person that gave me the access to the restricted areas that wouldn't be possible to study. Probably along with the presentation, the role of Rodrigo will be more and more clear. But from that point of view, I wanted to thank you very much. It is the real pleasure for me, and I'm honored to be now. So thank you for this. I also wanted to thank to my student Miguel. He's from Poland. He's from University of Łódź also. So thank you for being here. Okay, I will start, and Rodrigo is also here to convince the audience that everything is for real, that I'm not a liar. When I will be lying, he will be knocking me a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so I think we can start. Maybe Rodrigo, maybe you wanna tell something about yourself a little bit? No? Okay,
this is your presentation.
Actually, coming to Mexico, I had a little bit unrealistic goals because I wanted to go into prisons and juvenile detention centers, but also have some direct contact with people who are selling drugs. And without Elena that helped me with this, without her help and without help of Rodrigo, of course it wouldn't be possible, and probably I would finish my work with in library reading a lot of articles. But then I had a chance to have first-hand data. So just for the reasons for this presentation, I selected a little number of research goals, but the list is a little bit longer. So as you can see, I was interested what is the relation between social bonds, between trust, community, drug dealing, lifestyle. So it was my research goals. How little dealers, independent from cartels, how do they work? What is their modus operandi? how do they use actually their strong roots in community? How do they use that social capital that they have just to do the business? So it was actually the matter of my concern. I will tell a little bit about methodology, and because of Luis Astorga seminary, we had pretty good occasion to discuss it, ethnology and first-hand data and qualitative data. So thank you for this also. And the first and the most important tool was ethnography. Ethnography, as you perfectly know, this is the possibility to use all the senses in our research, to look at people, to talk with them, to even to smell where we are, to hear everything, to observe. So we are trying to employ all the senses, as Gian Pietro Gobbo says, to trying to know what's going on. So for me, it was wonderful to be in Tepito, Tacubaya, Iztapalapa with Rodrigo. Rodrigo was my gatekeeper. It's called in literature gatekeeper or intermediator. So thanks to his palanca, am I right? Palanca. Yes, thanks to his palanca, his recommendation, I was able to smoothly go into. Today he explained it to me that it was a little bit more dangerous than I thought. So after 3 years I know that it was a little bit more dangerous. And this is how it began. So please, it is only 30 seconds, so please.
Tu nombre. Venga a nosotros tu reino, hágase Señor su voluntad, así en la tierra como en el cielo. Danos hoy nuestro pan de cada día y perdona nuestras ofensas, como también nosotros perdonamos a los que nos ofenden. No nos dejes caer en la tentación y líbranos del mal. Dios te salve María Santísima, llena eres tú de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita eres tú entre todas las mujeres, bendito es el fruto de tu vientre que es Jesús. Santa María, Madre de Dios, ruega Señora por Dios te salve María Sacratísima, llena eres tú de gracia, el Señor es contigo. Bendita eres tú entre todas las mujeres y bendito es el fruto de tu vientre que es Jesús.
So Rodrigo is the spiritual leader of stigmatized communities, and he took personal risk for introducing me these people and getting me involved. We spent a lot of hours, a lot of days, also doing cross preparation for Chalma pilgrimage that Rodrigo invited to me. But I want to say that if something would go wrong, Rodrigo was the person to be blamed. So his role was really, really important here. And thank you for this. I also I had the unique possibility to take part in pilgrimage with people from Iztapalapa, Tacubaya, Tepito, probably many others. A lot of these people were engaged in drug trafficking. They were working for cartels. They were working for independent. They were working independent from cartels. They were robbers. They were kidnappers. Sometimes also sicarios. Yeah, so all of these people, we spent together, I don't remember, 5 or 6 days. We were walking like 110 kilometers, so it was pretty time it was long enough to be with these people, with participants, pilgrimates, more and more familiar. So let me show you some pictures. It's only 2. Actually, it was funny story because it was probably 3rd or 2nd day. I just saw the guy who was taking San Judas Tadeo. It was like 1.5 meters, and he was freezing a little bit. But in Poland, we got used to such a weather, so I used this specific occasion to help him a little bit with San Judas Tadeo. Do you remember this? Yeah. And then we started to talk. When others saw that we are talking, they were also more open to talk with me. But of course, the crucial role was Rodrigo, because he convinced them that they can talk with me. So after this moment, after Rodrigo's introduction, I had good occasion to run, I don't remember, 35 or 40 interviews with people, just walking with them. It is the best option to interview people when you do the same with the people when you interview. So please, 30 seconds, just to let you know how it works. Okay, the next I based also on in-depth interviews with people who were located in juvenile detention centers, in prisons. As I told, without Elena Ozola, it wouldn't be possible for sure. It is not so easy to go into. And also Elena, because of her huge experience, explained to me the nuances. And I think that that we are trying to deal with some problems, and thank you for this. It was wonderful. Also, I was trying to make the field notes from pilgrimage, field notes from being in Iztapalapa, Tepito, and Tacubaya. But also I asked Rodrigo to take his notes also, so we were doing like the cross-checking of data. Rodrigo was checking my notes. I was trying to take a look at his notes, and then we were pretty more sure that what we observed probably was maybe not objective, but more complex. So I think this is it was the good methodology. Also, now when I had some interviews in other prisons, I show it to Rodrigo, and he recognized the profiles to add a little bit more details about these interviews and about the people. For example, when somebody was talking that he is from Tepito and has some knowledge, specific knowledge about Tepito, Rodrigo was helping me with that, verifying the information that was revealed. Sometimes we had occasion to interview people very spontaneously. I was waiting for Rodrigo in Iztapalapa. He was taking his time with motorbike, so I was there a couple of minutes. And this guy approached me, and it was the pretty good occasion to question him. This guy, it was like 3 hours interview. Rodrigo, can you say just a few words about this guy?
This guy. He worked with Cartel Familia Michoacana in Los Reyes La Paz, and he did time in penitentiary in Santa Marta, Catitla, and Diamante. He was like 3 or 4 years, I don't remember, and he was cleaning the windshields of the cars in the street. And he told me that he saw Piotr, and he heard that he was like searching for something, and when I approached him and he saw that I was talking with him, he was a little bit more trustful to speak about his life, his experiences inside the cartel. And he was very fond on many details about the organization, about different elements that he encountered in his recruitment, in his life, working in a selling point of drugs in Los Reyes La Paz. And we were in like 3 hours. It was heavily raining. I remember that time. And just in the street, he began to talk all about the different things related to the topic. And these photographs are from some of these tattoos. His different signs, different tattoos he had. He agreed to take some photographs. And it was a good interview because he gave a lot of information also that how the cartels worked inside the penitentiary. How the relationship between the people that are inside incarcerated and the people outside in the streets working, and how also it's an important part of their lifestyle, or an essential part of their lifestyle. Sometimes they have to do time, or they have people of their crews, of their gangs inside the penitentiaries, and they also do different types of works, and they also give information, and they also sell drugs inside. So it's a very complex network of how the business is conducted inside and outside the prisons. So this interview gave us good insight about how the cartels, how the criminal organizations work inside also the penitentiaries and the criminal system. So that I think transcription. His name was Rodolfo. I have never saw him again. So I don't know where he's. But that's a little bit about this specific information.
Yes. We were all the time open for I was also I talked to researchers others, but I also with NGO representatives. Because I wanted to know the point of view of people who are not involved in government issues, and it was very helpful. I was also trying to informally talk with some people. I put it on my notes. Also video reportages, also narco websites, magazines. How I analyzed that. I was trying to do triangulation by Danzi, by methodology, data, researcher triangulation. I was just trying to compare everything with everything. It was cross-check procedure. I discussed it many times with Dr. Elena Azola, but also Rodrigo, some other people, and it was great opportunity to take a look at the data from many perspectives. Inductive approach. I started with open coding, then selective coding, generating categories, just like the grounded theory explains what to do. It is just a small piece of small piece of work in Atlas TI software for qualitative research. I wanted to say that Tepito is, in my point of view, a very hermetic community. So we talked today that, for example, low profile is very important in Tepito, and in Tepito you have to behave in some specific way. It is important. Rodrigo said that not like tourists from Japan, not taking photos all the time, because it is not a good idea. Yes, not speaking very loudly, showing people a lot of respect. Rodrigo actually verified my qualifications before he introduced me to these people, so it was for me occasion to follow his steps and be there. This is for example a little piece of the house where drugs were distributed. I saw a pretty high amount of cocaine. It was cocaine?
Cocaine.
Yes, it was cocaine. And this little ladder is, for example, the way to escape police.
Escape route.
Yes, the escape. Can you say something more about that?
Many of the warehouses or the safe houses that they have in Tepito, they all have an escape route, because it's common that the police sometimes do raids and they have to escape quickly from the places or take the merchandise quickly from the points they sell the drugs. So they have constructed a very intricate, like a maze of streets and different tunnels and different back alleys, ways to jump from ceiling to ceiling, so they can escape if the people that are watching from them, the hawks, the eyes, here they call them 18, the people that is working with radios, telling about if there's some police movement or someone that from other group tries to come for the merchandise. They have these escape routes all around these warehouses, and it's a very intricate structure that if you don't have the knowledge of, if you go to a right or a left, it's very complicated to move around those places.
Thank you very much. I think it's more dynamic to talk. Okay, just a couple of, just one photo more. Tepito existe porque resiste. Barrio Bravo. They're the very common, sayings in Tepito, and locals, people, they know what does it mean. Okay, what are results? The first thing, we discussed it many times. The literature is full of, in my opinion, very ethnocentric point of view, and drug dealing is treated as deviant activity. This is deviant activity. I think that from some point of view, of course, this is right, but there is also some other point of view. And ethnographers who do their study on the streets, they are a little bit less willing to say, oh, this is deviant behavior, because they are observing people who are doing that kind of things. You are trying to listen to them. You are trying to listen to their reasons. And much more I'm close to Becker's point of view, that this is the work, some kind of specific work that they do also for their families, also to survive. I don't want to say that they do not have other option, but probably they are not considering other options. So I think that this is also the matter of primary socialization, that they do not see other options, what they can do. So I'm just trying to locate that a little bit. Front business, back business. What does it mean? Many people, just like your friend, I don't want to mention his name, he is running, for example, the shop with watches. The shop with watches, but this is only for people from outside, because people who are from inside, they know that the watch, the shop with watches, this is not only cover, but there is also something different. On the backstage of this shop, he has drugs, yes, to sell, many drugs. His history is interesting, because previously he was working in Polanco, he was spotting people, and then he was robbing them with the gun. Yes.
Watches specifically.
Yes, specifically watches. So in Polanco he was spotting people, and then he was robbing their watches. Sometimes the situation was dangerous for him. So when he said family and finally he had child or children, I don't remember. Children, yes. He stopped. He quit from this high risk activity, and he started to sell drugs on the street. So he had two businesses. One was connected with watches, and one was connected with selling drugs to people that he trusts. I just told a little bit about keeping a low profile. That is unwritten rule in Tepito. Rodrigo, if you can just tell in a couple of sentences, what does it mean keeping the low profile? Low profile.
Well, keeping low profile is don't. We have a saying here in Mexico: no hacer iris. Don't get the attention of the eyes of everyone around you. You have to speak in a low tone of voice. You don't have to look to the people in the eyes. It's a little bit like in prison. You have to respect the space of the other people. You don't have to be looking like this all around the places, like searching for who is who and what they are doing. You have to be concentrated in what you are doing with the people you are. That's, I think, a way to define, to have a low profile, to be very respectful on how you approach the people and how you direct yourself, your body language. It's also very important. You have to be calm. You don't have to be like nervous people or like sweating a lot of your hands or doing sudden movements. You have to be like if you were in a restaurant, in a coffee shop, when you see some things that are a little bit different from a usual environment.
Thank you very much. Also, very important in Tepito, not only in Tepito, but also in other communities, there are the social bonds. They are very important. I remember the story about the older woman, and there was a little boy that was running from police, and he was running. But then, when he stopped, some old woman that she didn't know him, she told, "Hey, psst, you can hide here." And when police approached, she said, "Okay, he just ran in that direction. I saw him." So after that, when police disappeared, this woman she just helped this boy, and for I don't remember 1 week, he was helping her to running small business with vegetables. What does it mean? We have the different kinds of conceptions of social capital, like Putnam, like Fukuyama, and many others. But generally, she helped the person whom she didn't know before, but she knew that she's the person that she wants to help. And this is how Tepito is. This is how it works, and this is how low-profile drug dealers work. They are accounting and they are based on social relations. They are based on very strong social bonds, because this is their way how they can run their businesses. How they learn about that through socialization. We can say about the primary and secondary socialization. Primary socialization. Little children, they are observing their parents, sometimes their older brothers, cousins, colleagues, yes, that are involved in drug trafficking. I remember in that safe house that we entered, drug dealers, they are dealing with the drugs. I don't know how much it was, how many kilograms, but it was nice mountain, the drugs.
2 or 3 kilos.
Yes, 2 or 3 kilos. And I saw little children. Do you remember little children? I don't know what was the age, like 3 or 4 months, that were crawling, and they were
7, 8 months.
Yes, maybe. And they were just inhaling a little fog of the cocaine that was under the table. So it was first step of their primary socialization. They were not only observing, but they were using their senses to be more and more familiar with the business. Then we have secondary socialization. That kind of socialization is connected with, for example, how to keep the low profile, how to use the trust, how to use community bonds, how to use these strong connections to sell only to people who are trusted clients. And actually, secondary socialization is also dealing with some dilemma, because dilemma is if to sell a little amount of drugs and stay invisible for cartels, or to grow and increase the risk of being spotted. If somebody is spotted by cartels, probably he will be offered and he will lose his independency. Also, low-profile drug dealers, they are trying to omit violence. Violence is not necessary for them, but also nobody protects them. We saw some accident when the transaction went wrong and some people, they just took the knives and started to cut somebody else, but he escaped and they did not intend to kill him in Tepito. It was just the, I don't know how to call it, maybe you have another conception, but it was just like some kind of punishment actually, but they did not want it to kill him, yes?
Yes, the problem was that this guy came to a selling point. He asked for a specific kind of marijuana or cocaine, I don't remember. And when the guys from the selling point give him the merchandise, he wasn't happy about the price or about the quality of the merchandise. So they start to argue with like 3 or 4 guys that were there protecting the point, and they took some knives and cut this guy, chasing him a little bit because he wasn't agreeing with the price they stipulated in the transaction. So it was a way to teach him like a lesson that if we establish something, you have to respect it, and if you don't want it, you can't go to La Profeco to make your complaints, no? You can do that. This is the only way that works. If you like it, good. If you don't like it, go from here, no? So that what's happened, and Piotr was there, and he saw all that dynamics. No?
Yes. Drug dealers, they do not have developed customer service, actually. They are very reluctant to be responsible for the deal. Also, community as the roots, as the capital. They are using this capital that they know people, they know to whom they can sell the drug, to whom not. Not for everybody door is open, but when we were sitting in safe house, people, I don't know, maybe 20 people, maybe more, they were just passing door and they were just taking drugs and going out. It was not a complicated procedure to buy the drugs, but they were just buying them because all of them were trusted clients. And actually the difference between low profile drug dealers independent from cartel and the dealers who are dependent from cartel is the trust and violence. These dealers, they especially based on trust, clients whom they know, and not violent methods to do business. Also, when we are talking about Tepito, but not only Tepito, but I want to say that also this is more general, probably other communities. There are some methods of protection of these communities, and they are very well developed. The first is restricted cults by Basil Bernstein. So they are using very specific language. They are using microwaves, yes,
shortwave radio.
Shortwave radios. They are called Los Ojos, yes.
Los Ojos, Hawks, Halcones,
yes.
People that are protected.
Yes, and Rodrigo told me that from the very beginning, when we entered, when we just were near the Lagonia station, we were spotted by Los Ojos, Halcones, 18, and they knew that we are coming. And people who weren't to be warned, they were warned very immediately. So there are no people who are just they show up and they are just going and they are not unnoticed. So it was it is a very well developed, very effective way of barrier protection. So these people are communicating. From my interviews, I know that they earn not so much, like 5,000-6,000 pesos a month. Yes, am I right? Yes. The next thing is the labyrinth infrastructure. I remember that when we were walking down the street, after a couple of minutes, I lost my sense where I am actually, because we were turning right, turning left, turning right, turning left, and what I saw, that the assortment of the things that were selling, that these people were saying, was a little bit different, from the t-shirts, some sport suits, and some sport boots, to the more to the assortments for more selective clients, like the knives or some other things. But anyway, this labyrinth is also the way of protection. Also, police, they do not know how to move, yes, in that area, and if they cannot sometimes use GPS, they are armless. And we have it was the zero tolerance program, and it failed also because police they didn't know how to use the infrastructure, how to get some people. It was the case, we were discussing it, when police stopped one man and they wanted to arrest him. It was in Tepito. So other people, they were gathered, and they started to push police to reveal this man, and police didn't have any option. They had to reveal that person, because in that area they were unprotected and they were, yes, armless. Also, the way of protection, very very strong and very efficient, is local government corruption. We were discussing this even today. Local government representatives, they are paid, they protect, and that's why this business is possible. We were talking about La Unión de Tepito, that is also involved in government corruption. We are also considering the term collective trajectory. Collective trajectory. I took that term from the work of Anselm Strauss, Shizuko Fagerhaug, Pain Management. This term was used to describe the situation of person who is terminally ill, and this person knows that she is in the process of dying. So this is her path, and this is trajectory. I'm trying to use the term in connection with collective trajectory, based on some evidence from interviews. When people they told me that if you are born in, for example, Tepito, you have two options: to die or to be in jail. Even if this is not the truth, the most important is what people believe in. This is their mentality, and this is part of socialization, probably secondary socialization, that they believe that being in Tepito and being from Tepito, it has some end that can be easily predicted. We called it collective trajectory, and I think that we have plenty of evidence that it works. People are thinking in that way. So I think that that this is, yes, interesting for us to develop this term. I just want to say that for this research and for the grant, it was very important for me to be there for 6 months, but now I have pretty unique occasion to work with people that are helping me all the time a lot. As I mentioned, Dr. Elena Zaola, and Rodrigo, who are still doing their research, and we can still develop the project. We are all the time in contact. So the material is growing and growing, and that's why I'm really happy that also during this conference organized by Dr. Luis Astorga, I have possibility to talk to you, and I really hope on the questions from your side. Just to let you know, we have some articles published. You can visit them on Academia Edu, and there are the couple of articles that we already published or we are in the process. Yes, this book, Flirting with the Devil, it's very important for us. Dr. Elena Zaola is co-editor, and also Roger Guy, and this is the person who is also helping me a lot. He's from New York State University in Oswego. We are working together. We are analyzing data. Sometimes it's not so easy to find a compromise because Mexican point of view is sometimes different than the American point of view, and also Polish point of view. So sometimes it's challenging to know, okay, so what is the explanation for this? And not all of my conceptions are accepted by by Dr. Elena Zaola, so I'm withdrawing them, I'm just abandoning them and trying to look at the others, because we are trying to discuss collectively what happens. And this book is, for me, it's a very important project. We are discussing chapters. Also, Rodrigo has one chapter or will be co-author of the chapter. We don't know, but actually we are concentrated on from the micro perspective, what is the interplay between government and drug trafficking organizations, and then we are going deeper and deeper to ethnography and first-hand data. So this is our plan. Also, we are in the process of writing the other article about the connections between kids and cartels, how cartels are using kids as cannon fodder. And we based on the huge material gathered by Dr. Elena Zaola through the many years of her work. And this is our objective. And thank you very much. I'm sorry not speaking Spanish. Lo siento por no hablar español, pero mi español es no muy bien y yo tengo que mejorar esto mucho. Muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias al doctor Chomczyński. Más o menos. La pronunciación está más o menos, por ahí va. Bueno, definitivamente esta introducción, seguramente para muchos de ustedes, el hablar de traficantes de bajo perfil en contexto urbano, en barrios donde, si no contara alguien con un pasaporte diplomático como el doctor Chomczyński, gracias a Rodrigo, sería difícil, digamos, entrar y hacer un trabajo de esta naturaleza. Elena lo sabe porque dirigió una tesis, está aquí Carlos Amudio, ¿no? Un trabajo etnográfico sobre una familia de traficantes de cocaína en Iztapalapa, que es un antecedente. Me llamó la atención que en las referencias, por ejemplo, de uno de los artículos, no hay referencia al trabajo de Carlos. Entonces, aparentemente, y además dicen que prácticamente no hay nada al respecto. Sí hay. Lo que pasa es que también hay una orientación más cargada hacia bibliografía en inglés, ¿no? Entonces, uno puede entender ese tipo de cosas, ¿no? Efectivamente, sin esa introducción de alguien con conocimiento del terreno. Rodrigo creo que es originario de esa zona también, ¿o no? No, ya. Y claro, y es un trabajo de años también el lograr justamente que te tengan confianza y además presentar a otra gente avalada, digamos, por ti, ¿no? Para que puedan introducirse en esos medios, ¿no? Eh, llama la atención, por lo menos a mí me llama la atención, de que con tantas denuncias que hay por todos lados y traiciones y todo lo demás, eh, estos, eh, estos grupos de traficantes tengan ese bajo perfil y que no, que estén fuera del radar de organizaciones más grandes, ¿no? Entonces, creo que habría, seguramente lo están haciendo, un trabajo de exploración mucho más a profundidad para ver cómo se logra eso cuando hay tanta corrupción policíaca, por ejemplo. ¿Qué le cuesta a un policía decir, miren, aquí hay unos traficantes eh, que no están dentro de su organización y que, digamos, podrían estar compitiendo, o de hecho están compitiendo de cierta manera, o podrían estar compitiendo con lo que ustedes están haciendo a través de sus redes, ¿no? Entonces, esa independencia, digamos, a mí me resulta un poco complicado de entender, ¿no? Eh, seguramente existe, pero ¿qué nivel de tráfico tiene que haber para que pase justamente de manera desapercibida o quizás tolerada, ¿no? Por organizaciones más grandes y con un perfil, por lo menos de fama, sumamente violentas, ¿no? Entonces, eh, habría que elaborar, creo, más de cómo logran esa independencia y mantenerse fuera del radar. Otra cosa que me llama la atención es, bueno, lo señalan en el artículo, que hacen equivalente la categoría de cártel a organización de traficantes, ¿no? Y creo que ahí hay un objeto de estudio también en términos epistemológicos, dada la polisemia del término. O sea, ustedes dicen que la gente se refiere justamente a las organizaciones más grandes como carteles, ¿no? La cuestión es saber qué está entendiendo cada quien por eso, ¿no? Y no tomarlo como, y creo que ahí hay un objeto de investigación también para ir viendo los distintos significados, justamente la polisemia del término en distintos contextos, ¿no? Hay en varios otros países ya no ni siquiera se utiliza la palabra cártel. Se le ha colocado la etiqueta básicamente a las organizaciones delictivas mexicanas de cierto tamaño que ni las propias autoridades saben de qué tamaño son. Entonces es una etiqueta, digamos, para usos múltiples. Y yo diría que habría que detenerse, digamos, en ese, además que ya tienen información sobre eso, ¿no? Entonces podrían ver justamente los distintos significados que la gente le está dando. Lo que nos muestra también es condiciones de reproducción justamente para seguir en una cierta dinámica de actividades ilícitas, ¿no? Es algo que no es nuevo, pero cuando estamos acostumbrados a leer en la prensa, escuchar en la radio, ver en la televisión, etcétera, solo las grandes organizaciones que son las que le interesan al gobierno de Estados Unidos o las que le interesan al gobierno mexicano, se pierde mucho de vista justamente cómo se está llevando a cabo el tráfico en el día a día, ¿no? Y por quiénes, qué características tienen esos agentes sociales, en qué contextos se están desarrollando y cómo se están reproduciendo esas condiciones justamente para continuar con ese tipo de actividades y otro tipo de mercados ilícitos. Y pensando un poco, suponiendo que las autoridades quisieran hacer algo, pensar un poco en al revés de la película de Scorsese de Los Infiltrados, ¿no? No sé si la vieron, pero los infiltrados eran gente que la propia organización delictiva había puesto en las corporaciones policíacas, ¿no? A ver, aquí, digamos, tendría que ser al revés, ¿no? De cómo lograr, ¿no?, de parte de las autoridades tener infiltrados al revés, ¿no? Entonces, es, digamos, no es tan descabellado. Este tipo de situaciones existen en otros países. Mismo en Estados Unidos tienen problemas muy fuertes, por ejemplo, para infiltrar organizaciones delictivas de origen asiático. Y una de las grandes barreras es la lengua. O sea, en chino, por ejemplo, ¿no? Con las variantes que hay, es uno de los problemas fuertes. Acá no es la misma lengua, pero los códigos lingüísticos también difieren mucho, ¿no? En fin, creo que este tipo de trabajos hacen mucha falta en todos los lugares donde hay mercados ilícitos. En el caso mexicano, pensemos en el estado que ustedes quieran y en la ciudad que ustedes quieran del país, y qué trabajos hay de tipo etnográfico para ver cómo se está reproduciendo esto en el día a día, ¿no? Entonces, son trabajos muy necesarios, muy útiles justamente para saber a qué nos estamos enfrentando y qué se puede hacer eventualmente para que estas condiciones, digamos, de reproducción de mercados ilícitos no se reproduzcan, ¿no? Me llamó mucho la atención esta escena que se describe en el artículo y que tú comentaste, de este bebé, ¿no? Que anda gateando debajo de una mesa donde están haciendo los cortes a la cocaína, envuelto en una nube de polvo, justamente, de la cocaína, ¿no? Que tú le llamas la primera socialización. Es una manera, pero también es una primera fase de la intoxicación también, ¿no? Sobre todo en gente tan pequeña, ¿no? En fin, está abierto para sus preguntas. Creo que hay, bueno, tenemos a Elena. En fin, hay 2, 3. Bueno, empezamos con Elena.
Learn a lot too. So my question is about what you were describing. I think it is like that it kind of explain how can the Pito survive for so many years as a place in which different type of crimes are possible, because it has these traditional ways of networks and confidence, and they have all these mechanisms of tie together and protect from outside, so to say. So my question is, have you been observing in these years changes in this mechanism of functioning inside Pito, or and how do you think that those mechanisms will be able to preserve the community? Because I mean, there are a lot of changes in economy, in society, in technology that could probably put at risk this traditional mechanism of protecting the neighborhood from outside. That would be my question.
Thank you. you very much. Can we, thank you, can we try to answer the particular questions now? Okay. I will be not pretending that I can answer this question because Rodrigo is probably the person, not probably, but the person much more qualified to do that. But I just wanted to refer to Dr. Luis Astorga words. Drug trafficking organizations, cartels, organized crime. We used the terms that are used by people, and people are using the term cartels. In the literature, we can also find drug trafficking organizations. But what we observed is different levers of organization. Cartels are the most organized groups that are working like Walmart, they are working like the global companies. But for example, independent dealers through the social net that they created, they are buying like 1, 2, 3, 4 kilos of cocaine, bricks, and among the trusted people, they are dividing it and they are just selling it. So only together they can buy a little bit more quantity of drugs. And this is also the test for their social bonds, trust, and of course the connection between them. The next thing is that according to corruption and specific details about corruption of local government and Tepito and some organizations that are inside Tepito, I think that I'm not sure if we can speak about details because I will tell it very straight. I'm coming back to Poland, but Rodrigo is staying here. So I'm not sure if revealing all the details about who is paying whom and what amount of money and so on, it would be good for also Rodrigo. And also we have to remember about protection our sources. Trying to publish articles, we are also discussing with Dr. Elena Zaola, but also with Rodrigo, what we can reveal and what not. And there are many conditions that decide that sometimes we are talking very general, but sometimes we are going into details. I think that in that area, because Rodrigo is still involved in some processes, I'm not sure if we can talk about details of this corruption mechanism, but we have plenty of evidence that they exist. Rodrigo, maybe you will be also kind to answer some questions. Yes, you put some notes.
For example, what I have seen in the last years in Tepito is a generational change of the first generation around the late 80s and the beginning of the 90s. They began introducing powder cocaine inside the neighborhood in bigger quantities, and in that process, it is like Piotr said, they needed, for example, to buy a big load of merchandise of cocaine and divide it in different people inside the neighborhood. What happened? Many of these people of this first generation were killed or incarcerated. Right now, for example, it's a very famous one that is called El Tanque. He, for example, one of his children was involved in this case of News Divine, when they take they killed some of these guys. That one of them was a son of this El Tanque. This first generation of people, most were incarcerated, most of them were killed. But nowadays, for example, the social relationships in the neighborhood that are changing. Also, for example, the Chinese people that is in downtown and in Tepito, they are getting more and more spaces, more and more presence inside the neighborhood, and they are taking out many people of their commerce, for example. In Peña y Peña, in the street of Peña y Peña, they are building very big warehouses where the Chinese people sell directly their products to the different distributors in downtown and other places. And that kind of globalization of the way of trading, it's affecting a lot of the families that traditionally have been controlling the commerce inside the community. And what happens with this? The presence of these families, it's being diluted or it's being compromised by the presence of people from outside. And that was the main way that Tepito protects itself, by knowing all the people that is working in the street, and most of them have also family ties. They are relatives. It's my cousin, it's my brother, it's my nephew. So that also gave a lot of level of protection inside the neighborhood. When you start to break the families that live and work inside the natives of Tepito, what is happening right now, the people from outside, they don't care about the neighborhood. They only care about the profit. So they are not so eager to, for example, to protect a family that lives near me, because if I have my profit, I don't care about their problems. But years ago, they were acquainted, or they have a stronger bond and relation, and that is changing the neighborhood. As I told my friends, maybe in 15, 20 years, they all are going to be working for the Chinese, because they are taking over the commerce, and the Korean and the Chinese. Now the Chinese are coming strong inside the neighborhood, and that is changing the social relationships inside. And many people really don't understand that Tepito is a very small area, geographically speaking. It's not as big. There are the other neighborhoods, La Guerrero, Peralvillo, Colonia Morelos, downtown, but they are only divided by a street. And Tepito, the real Jesús Carranza, Bartolomé Las Casas, Manuel Doblado, Florida, Aztecas, Tenochtitlan, all are like 10, 11 streets that are really the heart and the center of Tepito. And they are being very, very attacked by people from outside. And that's the dynamics that is changing the neighborhood.
Well, first of all, congratulations for your research.
This is all of us, yeah.
Your plural. I didn't have time to read the articles, but I will. And I have three questions. One is about ethics, because Tepito has been overstudied along the years. My question is, well, in Mexico, we all know that in Mexico there are the trace of the drugs there, but what about the people? Why there is not a second objective in the research for giving something to the people? And it is the ethics of the research, because sometimes without wanting that, we can put the people in risk for being captured by police of another person. People of course know that we are not of those places, so we leave the community but they stay there. So I would like a reflection about the ethics of doing this. And the other question is what type of clients they have and what type of drug they sell, because I have been working with heroin users and they get the heroin by phone in their own homes. And sometimes with drones, they send the drones also, they don't have to move to go to Tepito to get their drug. They just call the dealer, they go to a certain subway station, and the people who sell the drugs are from Tepito, but the users not go anymore to to downtown because of this very dangerous. So I think, like Elena was asking, that the market is changing with the technology, with the presence of other groups, and also I think is of the type of drugs they sell and the type of clients they have, because I don't think that people with money, that doctors and nurses and a lot of other type of users go to Tepito to buy the drugs. So I used to make some work with the Tepito community many years ago. I think that community is getting lost, and perhaps including me. We haven't done many things for the community to survive and to take the people out of these trajectories, fatalistic trajectories, but real. So that is a question. I don't have the answer, but what else about this?
Thank you very much for these questions. They are very important in the discussion. Beginning with ethics. Ethics begins when everybody knows what are the real goals and what is the methodology, what are the results, why we question people. And there are plenty of aspects. The first aspect is that we never hide why we are here. So we are talking to people and we are telling them about our work, what we want to do with this study, what is the style of our publications. For example, Rodrigo will have appointment with some person who doesn't want to go outside some zone to others because he is really afraid. So Rodrigo is taking, for example, these 2 articles to show it to him how we work with data. Of course, no names, surnames, specific dates or details are not allowed in this job. This is one thing. But I also I think also that of course we never published one interview that would be the, I don't know, very long interview with pointing that this is interview from Tepito, because it would be very easy to find that person. So of course we are changing names and we are cutting this interviews to very little parts, only to support some ideas or hypotheses. This is one thing. The next thing, sometimes people ask me, I was asked like 5 days ago, if my article is gonna help one inmate inside the prison. So because he was very strong involved in one of the cartels, and he just wanted me to answer this. My answer was not at all. It will not help you. It will not help your lawyer. It will not help you and any other people. This is just the scientific reasons, and this is your decision to give me interview or not. And after 5 or 6 seconds, he looked at me and said, yes, I appreciate it. I want to give you interview. So I was interviewing him. So this is that thing. So ethics is very important. Probably Rodrigo will tell something more. But about the consumers, of course, we do not have to go to United States to buy the laptop. We can use our, I don't know, internet or phone to order it. This is the natural mechanisms that are ruling the market today. People want to take drugs, but they don't want to put themselves on danger, on unnecessary risk. So they are using their connections to order drugs. The same as in Poland. We can observe some segments. Poland is very famous, unfortunately, from amphetamine. And people are calling drug dealers to to sell them drugs. There was a very famous case about the drug dealer who was equipping only the very important people. So they were paying a lot of cash for drugs being delivered direct to the party, for example. I'm also doing research in so-called Polish DEA as the part of Europol, and I'm talking to policemen how this market is changing, and it's changing a lot. People now, they want to take drugs, but they don't want to have nothing in common with consequences. But actually, this person, when he was caught with his notes. So all the politicians, singers, actors, people also from academia, they had problem. So it happened. Rodrigo?
Well, the first element about the ethics, no? For many years I have seen a lot of researchers, for example, in the pilgrimage we do to Chalma, San Juan de los Lagos. They come, for example, some students I have seen from UAM, from la UNAM, that they do their thesis, for example, about the pilgrimage. They go, they walk with the group 5-10 days maybe, they gather their information and they never come back. They never keep in touch with the people that they are studying. No? That's an element when a relationship is not balanced, because I'm taking for you and I'm not giving you anything back that is useful, that is important for you. That is why I'm for many years I have been troubling with these kinds of researchers, because I think that they only go, they take what they need, and they leave the community to the guys to die, and they don't care about them. No? That's a very, very profound problem we have here in the university as students, that we are not want or willing to be involved in the life, in the real life of these people. We don't want to know what are the real problems, their expectations, their needs in life. So the first element to make or to gain the trust with these guys is the work I do with them, with my prayers. These guys, many of my friends have been killed in these 13 years. Many close friends of mine, people who I walk with them, I went to meet their families, their mothers, their children. I ate with them inside their houses. I have a close relationship with them. And they were killed because the lifestyle, the context, the society. So the first element that I provide to this society is my spiritual, my prayers, my rosary. I went to when they were dead to support the family, to make what we call here el novenario de difuntos, levantar cruces, go with them, to help them in those times of need, in the pilgrimage also, because it's very important for them, for the guys that are inside prison. It's a very important element that gives them hope, that gives them something to confront the difficult lifestyle they have. So I think for all ethnographers, for all the people that are studying humanity, it's necessary, it's indispensable to make a strong bond with the people you are working. For example, you told me that you are working with people in this clinic that they were addicted. So if you're really interested in them, you need to meet with their families. You need to go to their houses. You need to be more involved with their needs in daily life. And that's a very important element, no? Because I think without that, we are only taking from our object of we are studying. No? Yes, please.
Just one comment. Yes, I talk with the families, but the clinic rules are that we don't have to be in touch outside the clinic, because of the thing that I told you, that one medical doctor was killed in Oaxaca, and the personnel of the clinic too.
You risk your life.
So
okay, that's your decision. But that's a personal decision.
But inside the clinic, I work with the families,
perfect,
with their parents, and those who need psychiatric help. I take them to the hospital I work at.
Important thing, no? When you talk with ethics, I think that's the way to go, no?
Well, but because you didn't mention that.
No, but you are helping them in some level. You are not just taking your information and leaving them alone.
No.
No? That's
But
my point.
My question was also, sorry for taking time, but people we interviewed, they are eager to talk because no one listened to them. So sometimes it can be very abusive to talk with them so long because they have the need to express themselves perhaps for the first time in their lives. And yes, they can take catharsis of talking with you, but you are taking the information for the research. So I think it is a very subtle line of making research and not allowing just to remember the person that is a researcher. Like I told with my clients, do not confuse, this is not a therapy, it's a research. And you can go, you can come so many times you want to talk with me, but it is a research. And when I repeat them, they say, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. So when you are in the field work, it's more difficult because the need is there also, and your safety is in. So
compromise.
I would like, it will be very helpful for everyone if you make an article of these reflections. I think
we are working on that. Yes, we're working on these reflections because I think they're very important. And that's also why you need to have a long-term relation with the people, because that's the only way to gain their trust. And quickly, I'm going to try to answer your other question. Clients of drugs. Many people obtain the merchandise that sell in other different points from Tepito. I have seen guys, for example, that go out with 15, 20 kilos of marijuana from Tepito, big bags of marijuana that then they sell in these different ways, by WhatsApp, by leaving it in some place. There are many different mechanisms, no? But most of the guys that go with Tepito, many of them are distributors from other areas of the city, no? That's why that's the kinds of drugs, marijuana of all of types, recreational drugs, ecstasies, ácidos, MDA, cocaine, crack cocaine, crystal meth, all even legal drugs, no? Like Xanax, Vicodin, all that drugs, you also can get it over there. Goma de opio, also you can get it over there. So it's a very complex and a very diversity in the type of drugs they are selling. And you are right, people with a lot of money, I also have contact with people with a lot of money. They send, for example, the chauffeur, oh, tell Pablito to go to Tepito and buy me, no? And they don't put themselves in risks. Or they have a personal dealer. I have friends in La Condesa that, okay, I need 5 grams, no? At 3 o'clock in the morning. 24 hours, 365 days of the year, no? That's all. I'm sorry.
Sí, hola, buenas tardes. Felicidades por el trabajo, muy interesante lo que señalan. Interesante la idea esta de por la vista de enfrente y lo de detrás. Ya había algunas veces reflexionado sobre ello, pero a mí me parece que hay un par de situaciones que no quedan claras. Una de ellas es la relevancia que se le da a cada uno. O sea, parece que presenta en el escrito la venta de drogas como un complemento del ingreso, cuando a mí me parece que estando un día ahí y observando la venta de relojes viene a ser el complemento de la venta de drogas, y más que nada un complemento en sentido de representación de legalidad o de informalidad, porque yo no puedo hablar de legalidad en el caso de ese tipo de comercios. Y lo ya señalado por el doctor Astorga acerca de la debilidad del argumento, de que se vuelven invisibles para otros grupos delictivos. cuando es realmente complicado, uno puede ir a Tepito y dependiendo la edad, la forma en la que uno vista, se le van a aparecer decenas de vendedores, ¿no? Creo que eso del bajo perfil sí me parece que podría trabajarse un poco más para, digamos, para explicar esa idea que quieren llevar ahí, ¿no? De que sí hay intentan mantener la discreción del sitio, que quienes no son del lugar o quienes no les interesa el comercio de drogas no se den cuenta de ello, pero quienes consumen, las autoridades, los otros grupos delictivos, difícilmente van a pasar por desapercibido ese tipo de situaciones donde pues se vende bastante bien. Pues ustedes habrán visto, ¿no? Vitroles llenos de diferentes tipos de marihuana, mesas con diferentes calidades de cocaína, de metanfetamina incluso, a veces ice en algunas tiendas, crack, son grandes cantidades, ¿no? Y por eso regularmente hay también vigilancia, que para los que más o menos conocen el sitio es difícil no darse cuenta. Gracias y felicidades de nuevo.
Muchísimas gracias. Of course, I agree that all the stories there are different, and sometimes we are very concerned about the contradictions, because sometimes we are telling about some pattern, but there are also the cases that you mentioned that are contradictory to them. So sometimes for us this is a very hard job to find the conditions that are playing the role of intervening conditions, that something is not all the time the same. And actually here also some stories are different. Of course, this is the continuum. You told about the independency from cartel and if they are visible or not. But sometimes this is continuum. Some people are more dependent, some people are less dependent. But as I can say, generally, the people who are, let's call them independent or more independent from cartel, they are working through intermediates who have better relations with cartel, and they can buy from cartel some amount of drugs that will be distributed through low-profile drug dealers. Of course, cartels, they know about these people. So invisible, it's a little bit shortcut for sure. But they said, okay, you can that amount of drugs you can sell, but the greater quantities of drugs, they won't be unnoticed, because cartels, they are actually selling drugs, but this kind of quantities, this is not the matter of their concern. So they give like the, let's call it green light for little merchandise to be distributed in the streets.
Como hizo la pregunta en español, le voy a contestar en español. La relevancia de, obviamente hay familias que su primer ingreso es la venta de drogas, evidentemente, y que tienen negocios que no dan prácticamente nada como el frente del negocio. Vamos a poner el ejemplo de la calle Tenochtitlán. Usted conoce la calle Tenochtitlán, habrá percatado que tal vez en los primeros 200 metros de eje 1 al callejón de Aztecas. Yo tengo muchos amigos que viven en los primeros números de Tenochtitlán. Uno ve sus puestos que venden. ¿Sabe lo que venden? ¿Se acuerda? Juguetes sexuales. Es lo que venden. Dildos, tangas, pastillas, Menforce y todas estas cosas. Yumbinas y demás. Entonces, ese es el... Yo nunca he visto a nadie comprar algo eso. Yo soy sincero. Yo nunca he visto a nadie que vaya a comprar un dildo al puesto de mis amigos en Tenochtitlán. Yo sé que la mayoría de ellos, su negocio principal es la venta de drogas. Y ese es el ingreso que a sus familias, sus mamás, sus papás, sus hermanos, sus hijos, todos saben que a eso se dedica el Señor. Y entonces, eso es por un lado. Estoy de acuerdo en lo que dice. Mas, sin embargo, también hay mucha gente en Tepito que no tiene nada que ver con eso y que tiene otro tipo de negocios y que le va bien con otro tipo de negocios. Y en épocas difíciles llegan a vender droga. Porque, un ejemplo, compré un cargamento de tenis y lo decomisaron, ya no puedo llegar. Tenía 150,000, 200,000 pesos invertidos ahí, los perdí. Ahora, ¿qué hago para alimentar a mi familia? Ah, no, pues me voy por tanto de cocaína, vendo un mes, 2 meses, algo. Esa es otra manera de vender la droga. Nadie es invisible. Si yo voy a Bartolomé, a Callejón de Azteca, Tenochtitlán, todo el mundo sabe quién vende, todo el mundo sabe dónde vende. Hay policías ahí todo el tiempo que están dando vueltas y muchos en los puntos están cuidando los puntos. Uno lo ve. Es como si uno va a circunvalación y no vas a saber que todas las chicas de ahí trabajan en sexo servicio. Cuando yo las he visto, todo el mundo las ha visto y está el policía al lado de 5 sexo servidoras. O sea, aquí en este país nadie es invisible. Todos saben quién es quién, dónde trabaja cada quien, dónde duerme cada quien, dónde está la familia de cada quien. La cuestión se llama acuerdos. El problema de Tepito es que si te da mucha avaricia y te quieres comer todo el pastel completo, no te lo vas a poder comer todo. Entonces tienen que llegar a un acuerdo de decir, yo tengo amigos en Iztapalapa que tenían acuerdos con gente de la Unión. Dicen, tú de aquí a aquí puedes trabajar. Se acabó. Y todos saben quiénes son. Yo me puedo meter al YouTube y los puedo buscar en internet. ¿Ok? Entonces, eso es lo que queremos decir. Solo que hay cierta independencia en que no eres un soldado de un cartel. En que no estás determinado a lo que el patrón te diga a las 3 de la mañana y tengo que salir y estar ahí como soldado. Ese es el nivel de independencia, pero todo esto lo tenemos que ir clarificando poco a poco y poniendo los puntos sobre las is. Nada más. Eso es lo que nos falta. Esta es nada más la entrada y vamos a seguir trabajando en eso. Y pues creo que eso es lo referente a sus preguntas. Disculpen la tardanza. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, tenemos 5 minutos más. Justamente me surge una pregunta también. Esta reflexión que hacía Rodrigo sobre la cada vez mayor presencia de chinos y coreanos. Vamos a relacionarlo con mercados legales e ilegales. Ustedes saben que China es el primer exportador de fentanilo y el primer exportador de precursores químicos para las metanfetaminas. Entonces, si hablamos nada más del mercado de las drogas, con la excepción de la cocaína y la marihuana, y bueno, goma de opio, la tendencia al consumo justamente de metanfetaminas y de fentanilo para mezclarlo con heroína, pues ahí la presencia de los chinos va a ser, si no es ya clave. Entonces, ¿cuánto tiempo esperaremos para ver laboratorios digamos, no laboratorios, bodegas, donde esté recibiendo fentanilo, digamos, ahí mismo, ¿no? ¿No? Entonces, creo que estamos ante situaciones que ahorita nos parecen, digamos, así como de película, muy lejanas, pero creo que lo que se acerca, dadas las tendencias de consumo en los principales mercados, es bastante complicado, ¿no? Drogas sin fronteras, bueno. Sí, creo que aquí se ha reflexionado sobre los tipos de compromisos, ¿no? O sea, compromiso personal, compromiso institucional, compromisos de ONGs que ya no se quieren mucho en este gobierno, ¿no? Y son distintos niveles de compromiso, ¿no? Que cada quien los va asumiendo dependiendo de la función que cada quien, digamos, se autodesigne o la que se exprese públicamente, ¿no? Y dada también las características del tipo de acercamiento, ¿no? El acercamiento etnometodológico es muy distinto, digamos, podría ser de la psiquiatría, ¿no? O podrían convivir, ¿no? Que, no sé, los economistas, ¿no? Que están trabajando cuestiones ya más macro, en fin. Yo diría que hay ciertos niveles donde cada quien asume la responsabilidad que le corresponde y la que quiere asumir, ¿no? Quizás no hablar de invisibilidad, sino de cierto grado de autonomía relativa, ¿no? Y ciertos grados de tolerancia también, donde se identifican, digamos, a los agentes centrales y más poderosos en este tipo de mercados ilícitos y las cadenas intermedias, ¿no? O sea, que no operan por sí mismos, sino no pueden operar sin un cierto grado de protección y de connivencia o de relaciones de corrupción, para llamarlo claramente, de distintos niveles de las autoridades gubernamentales, ¿no? El primer, digamos, eh, lo que primero se identifica son las policías, evidentemente, ¿no? Pero no se para ahí, ¿no? Recordemos una vez más dónde están ubicados estos lugares donde hicieron el trabajo etnográfico: Delegación Cuauhtémoc, ¿no? E Iztapalapa. Y recordemos quién fue delegado de la Cuauhtémoc hace hasta muy poco tiempo, ¿no? El líder del Senado, ¿no? De Morena. En fin, digamos, no estamos haciendo imputación, estamos, digamos, dado el cierto tipo de control político, es prácticamente imposible que no se conozcan estas redes ilícitas, ¿no? Entonces, tenemos ahí varios planos para la reflexión posterior, que da efectivamente para mucho y para muchos estudios posteriores, ¿no? Y tendremos que cerrar aquí porque ya te tienes que ir, ¿no? Pero bueno, en alguna otra ocasión nos avisas con tiempo, organizamos otra reunión. Muchas gracias por su asistencia, por sus preguntas, y seguramente se llevan tareas para reflexionar aún más sobre este tipo de fenómenos en el país. Muchas gracias, profesor Chomczyński, Rodrigo, público, y hasta la próxima.